Hi guys, we are going to start talking a little bit more about the mechanics of writing your essays. So you found your scholarships, you found your essay prompts, and now you actually want to write an essay. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what kind of essays you're going to want to keep. So this is a brief overview of the kind of essays that you're going to have. But first, I'm going to go over a little bit about how you want to set up your essay. So this is an essay I wrote for Remax. They were having an essay competition. This essay actually won, so I made about $500 off of this essay. And I'm just going to show you a little bit about the layout I was kind of telling you about in the previous videos. So one big thing that you want to see is first, when I think of respect, I think of Mike Espenshade. So in the beginning of this essay, I bring up a theme, which is Mike Espenshade. And an important thing you want to make sure you're doing is at the end of the essay, you want to tie that theme that you saw in the beginning to the end. That makes your whole essay a little bit more cinched and clean. And they know when a reader sees that, they know that you know what you're doing. They know that you intentionally remembered what you've written about and you're returning to that theme to close the essay. So make sure the beginning and the end of your essay match. Secondly, here, Mike and I worked together on restoring an old Civil War memorial. This is what I did. I worked on the Civil War memorial. What I could have done was written an essay about what I did and how great I am for doing it. And that's fine. And a lot of people will probably write about it. But here is kind of the moneymaker. But here is just a couple of hours with Mike was enough to completely flip my mindset. Mike harbors a deep respect for our veterans. So what I did here is I said how I changed. This is where my internal change comes from. So the reader now sees, oh, this was not a one-time thing. She has a takeaway from this experience. And now she's going to be a different, better person. And that's really going to catch their attention. And lastly, right here at the end, this is sort of my call to action. This is where I encourage the readers to join me in taking this step in doing something new. In a world where actions speak louder than words, going out of your way to respect someone, yada, 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 right here, all it takes is an action. So they're seeing, I did something, I had an inward change, and now I'm expressing that other people should change as well. So this is the kind of the general things that you're going to want to make sure that you hit on while you're doing an essay like this. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the essays you're going to need. It's sort of similar to the arsenal I mentioned earlier, where you want to have your resume, your letters of recommendation, your hours involved. You're going to want to keep all of those things with you. These are also things that you're going to want to keep with you while you're working on creating your essays. Because what you're going to see is a lot of scholarship essay prompts are going to be very similar. So you write one long essay and then you sort of tweak it and change it for each specific requirement. That way you're not writing a bunch of essays that are all very similar. It saves a lot of time and saves a lot of effort. The first thing you want to focus on is a big thing that you've done in high school. Maybe you were in a musical, or maybe your sports team won a big tournament. Something that was big for me was I was into volunteering. I did a lot of volunteering. And one of the things that I did with volunteering was the Be Kind campaign. It was very successful and we had a lot of fun. So I made that my big thing that I did in high school. As you can see, I've labeled that a big thing right here. So this is a little bit about my experience with volunteering and the Be Kind campaign. Something that you'll see I did here, which again, very good. You want to work on it. I start by saying my life is marked by service, and I end by saying not through my own strength or prowess, but through service. So again, I tie it together. But also, not only, I did not just write about what I did. Here we have facts, we have figures, we sold, we raised, yada, yada. But the important thing is that I pulled a theme out of the info. I was able to say, this is what I did, but this is what I actually did. I actually promoted service. I was marked by service. And pulling a theme out of your actions is going to be separating you from people who are just talking about their actions, their actions, their actions. If you can say, this is what I've done, this is why I've done it, that's going to make your essay stand out a lot. So along with your big thing that you did in high school, you also want to have other things that you've done. These are going to be smaller, maybe not as important. Maybe they're more important to you, but they're just, they're not going to be quite as impressive. So for me, something else that I did was I was on the board of directors for a local nonprofit, Communities That Care. So here I mentioned one of my smaller things. Here's my big thing. I talk about that right here. Be kind. But I also mentioned a smaller thing. I was on the board of directors for Communities That Care, and I talk a little bit about what I did with that. So that kind of helps the reader of the essay understand that I have done multiple things. I'm involved. I don't just capitalize all my time onto one thing. I am involved in various facets of the community. And then I also talk about that here. This is my second small thing, is I was on a lobbying team with the International Justice Mission. So I had the opportunity to attend an advocacy summit. I lobbied in Senate for the passing of these two bills. So these are my two small things that I get to drop in the middle of essays just to show the reader that I'm a well-rounded person. I have a lot of things going on. I know I have multiple revenues for exploring my interests, for enhancing the community. So having two smaller things that you've done that you can just sort of pull out and also flaunt. Another prompt you're going to see often is, how are you going to spend the money? So right here, this is an essay I've written about how I'm going to spend the money. This is a longer one, so I took this one and I was able to break it down later. And again, my goal in going to school is to foster change which benefits all, from the poorest citizens to worldwide leaders in government. So that's important because my goal is fostering change. And money is just going to be the way I do it. Instead of saying, oh, well, I'll use the money for books, I'll use the money for room and board. It's, no, I'm using this money to do something greater than my immediate surroundings. Another thing, why do you need to go to college? This is why college will help me. Again, I threw an IJM there, but this is why college will help me. A similar phrase, I'm going to school to foster change. I don't want to go to school so that I can have a career, so I can support my family. Obviously, those things are important, but bring it out to the broader context. Bring it out to, this is why my future is important. And then, as you can, I do get more specific. Attending college will give me mentors. Attending college will give me a launching pad. It will give me background information. All that's important. But you want to make sure that you have a larger theme going on that will make the readers know that you have a big picture mindset involved. So these are sort of the four big essay prompts that you see. I recommend having all of these 4 essay prompts written in these 5 different word counts. So what I would suggest you do is you write one 500-word essay for each of these prompts, and then cut it down to 350, cut it down to 200, and then cut it down to 100. Just because there are different word counts for everything, and it's easier to start big and cut down than it is to start small and work up. So in my own folders, I have 4 different versions of this. I have 4 different versions of this. I have 4 different versions of this, and 4 different versions of this. So when you have these, say you open an application and they're asking for an essay, they want, why do you need to go to college in 200 words? You have that written and you can just pull it out, and you don't have to sit there and think, why do I need it? Why do I have to do this? You're going to want to make sure that you have it, just because it makes the application process so much easier. The hardest part of essays is building up this arsenal. It's going to take a lot of time writing this much information down. But once you do, it's going to make the process a lot easier. And again, these are just general essay prompts you're going to see a lot. That does not mean these are the only things you're going to see. You're also going to want to make sure that you write specific things for other essays. So I was applying to a Zonta International Scholarship, which I did win. Now, Zonta is a international organization specifically for women. So I didn't write about how I was on a nonprofit board for a small organization. I wrote about my work with IJM and how it affects specifically women. So find what things that you have done that are related to the organization and show how you are integral to that organization. I wrote about how my work helps women when I'm applying for a scholarship for women. So make sure that you're looking at what kind of things that you want to do and how the things you do interact with the organizations putting out the scholarship. So these are just some of the tips on how to write essays, how to include what you need. And we're also in a following video going to talk even more about how to write essays, how to break them down.